Good evening. Today, I thought we would talk about fear. Fear is something that freezes us and comes up into every relationship in our lives. So I'd like you to think of some relationships in your life that may be feeling stuck, that may be causing anxiety, and let's look at what might be some underlying fear that we can start to shift. If we can start to shift some of the fear, then we can open up to the possibility of changing those relationships. So some of the hard relationships we're in could be relationship with work, could be relationship with a partner, could be relationship with our children, could be relationships with our parents. Parental relationships are our first really intimate relationship, and we learn a lot in that relationship about how to be safe in the world, how to keep ourselves safe. So I would love you to just focus in on a relationship, and then let's look at what might be the fear under it. Okay? So some of the fears that could be coming up in any situation, there's the fear of being judged. And now that could be coming up in a work situation, in a creativity situation, could even come up in a personal situation. And I wonder, and I think that maybe what's under the fear of being judged is not so much the fear of being judged, but the fear of lacking that might be underneath that. Fear of rejection, that's another big one, especially in intimate relationships, putting ourselves out there with the fear of being rejected. Fear of embarrassment. This is another one that comes up, especially if we're trying to step out of our comfort zone and into a bigger life. Sometimes fear of embarrassment goes along with maybe the fear of failure or even public failure. So being seen as failing in a bigger forum, which can be embarrassing. And on the other side of fear of failure is actually the fear of success, the fear of getting what we actually want and all of the greater responsibilities that go with it. So what are the fears that are coming up for you? What would you like to focus in on this evening? And we can start tapping on that. I did get at least one response to my call out today. And the fear really was around a person putting themselves out there for work, for a good placement, and the fear of being rejected, of not being enough to be worthy. And that's a really big one for a lot of us, I think. It's one of the reasons that we sometimes play very, very small, is that if we actually go for what we want, the fear of being rejected from that position. So just key into whatever fear might be coming up for you and see where it's in your body. For me, it is so often right in my lungs, right in my throat. That's where my fear goes. A lot of restriction in there. And give it a number from 0 to 10. How strong is that feeling in your body? 10 being off the charts, 1 being very little. And we'll start tapping gently. I encourage you to join me in this. If you've tapped before, this is a great chance to just release any stress that might be lingering. If you've never tapped before, give it a try. We're simply tapping on the body where the meridians come close to the surface. So starting on the side of the hand, right here, the fleshy part. And I'm going to say some words, and I encourage you to repeat them after me. If they're your words, great. If they're not your words, try them on anyway. And if you want to change them as we go to fit your story better, you can do that as well. Even though I have fear of being rejected and of not being enough, I love and accept myself anyway. Even though I really want to put myself out there, I really want to create the life that I want. But I am so afraid of being rejected. I'm so afraid of being found to not be enough. and I love and accept myself anyway. Even though I have this fear of rejection. I have this fear of feeling like I am just not enough. I love and accept all of me. And I am open to calm and peace. Okay, so come up to the eyebrow, right where the hair starts. Just tap there. This fear. Now come around to the side of the eye, right on the bone to the outer side. This fear of rejection. And coming under the bone, right below your iris. I'm going to move my glasses out. This fear of not being enough. Under the nose. This fear of putting myself out there and being rejected by others. Chin. All of this fear I'm feeling in my lungs. Now you're going to go to the collarbones. There's like these little sticky outy bones here. Now you're just going to go down and out, and it's about a diagonal 2 centimeters, and just start tapping there. All of this fear of rejection. Under the arm. When I'm rejected, I doubt my self-worth. Top of the head. When I'm rejected, I feel like it means there's something wrong with me. So it makes it really hard to put myself out there. Rejection means so much to me at this point. I have rejection linked with my self-worth. When I'm rejected, I feel like I am not worthy. So I don't want to put myself out there. Why would I do that? Much better just to protect myself. If I play small, then I won't let anyone down. Nobody will want to reject me, and I'll feel safe. All this fear of rejection. Just wanting to hide under the covers. All this fear of rejection. Feeling like I'm not good enough. Feeling like I'm just this tiny little piece in this huge machinery. Nobody can see my worth. That makes me think I don't have any worth. Maybe they're right. And that's a really scary thought. Just acknowledging all this fear. Just acknowledging all this fear of rejection. Feeling it in my lungs. And I have this belief. This belief that if I am rejected, it means there's something wrong with me. All of this fear of rejection. And this belief that it means that there's something wrong with me if I'm rejected. Oh, this is so heavy in my lungs. All this fear in my lungs. Just allowing myself to acknowledge this fear and release what I can. Just allowing some space between this idea of being rejected and what it means to my self-worth. Just allowing some release and some space around this fear. Because what if it isn't true? What if being rejected has nothing to do with my self-worth? What if I'm just fine. What if I put myself out there and I get rejected, and then that's just information? Oh, that feels very scary. That feels very scary to say that. Because I'm so used to having rejection tied to my self-worth. So what if I make some space there? What would that be like? Just take a breath there. And just see if your fear has lightened up at all. If it's changed, if your numbers changed. I have to admit that my chest doesn't feel quite as tight as it did before. It was probably about a 6 before. Now it's probably about a 4. There's still some constriction, but that's where I hold it. So we've made a bit more space around this fear of rejection. And for me, I found that fear of rejection really, felt coupled to my self-worth. And maybe we can decouple that a bit more and create some more openness and space around that. Maybe we can think of rejection not so much as having to do with anything wrong with us, but simply another person's opinion of a situation. That's possible. Let's see if we can create some more space around this fear of rejection. Oh, so even though I still have some fear around rejection, I love and I accept myself. And I'm open to looking at this a little differently. Even though I have this fear of being rejected when I put myself out there, either in a relationship or in a job situation, I love and accept all of me. And I am open to looking at this differently. We'll do one more. Even though I still have a fear of rejection, I feel like when I put myself out there, in work, in relationships, when I put myself out there and I feel the answer is no, that sense of rejection, it feels like it's personal. And I love and accept myself. And I'm open to space. I'm open to looking at things differently. I am open to the possibility that I can separate the rejection from my self-worth. I'm open to the possibility that I can look at this rejection as information and just another person's opinion, and I can still be okay and keep going and keep trying. That's a lot. But I'm open to taking one more step toward that. Okay, so a part of me still has rejection linked to my self-worth. Part of me is still afraid to put myself out there for fear of rejection. And another part is open to seeing rejection as information. That whatever I've gone for or whoever I've gone to isn't the right fit for me right now. That doesn't mean what I have to offer isn't worth it. It just means the person I offered it to isn't the right person. Just open to separating a rejection from my feeling of self-worth. Open to knowing that rejection isn't about me, isn't about what I have to offer. I can still have a lot of value and be rejected. I can still have a lot of value and be rejected. Wow, that just still sticks in my throat. So even though I don't fully believe it, I am open to the possibility that I can be rejected and still have a ton of value. That my value is separate from the rejection. I'm open to taking another step in that direction. I'm open to just staying with my value and being with that person. I'm open to continuing to put myself out there in steps that feel right. And I'm open to it being okay to hear no. Perhaps I don't want every offer to be a yes. Perhaps it is okay to hear no. Perhaps that doesn't change my self-worth. Perhaps it's just more information. Perhaps it's keeping me from going down a road I don't want to go down. Perhaps it's okay to keep putting myself out there and knowing that I do have value. Even though I may not fully believe that, I'm open to the possibility that I have great value. Just allowing that to sink into my body. Allowing myself to take a step further toward believing this. And absolutely knowing that I am okay. Okay, take a breath there. See how you're feeling. So that's just one example of working with a little bit of fear, seeing what belief might be behind the fear. Often we have some very, very basic behind the fears. There are some standard fears. There's the fear of not being worthy, and the fear of not being powerful enough, and the fear of being completely abandoned. So those are sort of the three basic fears that are under everything. I hope that helped you. I know it helped me a little bit. I've been dealing with some situations where I felt like I've needed to push through and put myself out there. And the reason I haven't done it as much as I've wanted to is this fear of rejection and what it means about me. So I'm actually going to continue to tap on this for myself. I hope that you continue to tap for yourself. Have an amazing evening, and we will see you soon. Take care.